6 o'clock in the morning and we try to find our way to Godfrey's tank, which is an old indigenous waterhole. It is stunning. Dave made the good point. You see, actually, the track we follow leads into kind of a gully where probably, if it rains here, all that water really starts collecting and ends up in Godfrey's tank. Wartikarrapungu, as it's called by the indigenous people, has been known for many thousands of years. However, the first white man to discover it was a member of Carnegie's expedition party, Godfrey Massey. Carnegie then named the waterhole after the discoverer. Here. Get down there, Dave. You can climb down there, which Dave did. I had all my camera gear with me and decided not to go down as there was no water. And silly me, I completely forgot about the engravings, and Dave didn't see them at the bottom either. So if you're down there and look up the south wall, there are quite a few engravings of the early explorers. Thank you very much to Phil Bianchi, who provided me the images of the engravings. He has written Work Completed Canning, another must-have book if you intend to travel the canning stock route and want to know more about the history. Just doing my morning vehicle checks. Best is actually do it in the afternoon, but we didn't last night. That gives you then time to still fix stuff. Tires. No fluids under the car. And we're just sorting out where we're going today. Very good book if you do the canning, must have. It's 11th of June. We spent the night at Breadon Pools, which was awesome. Just had the stretcher out, no fly, and yeah, it was absolutely beautiful under the stars. Yeah, we're around 12 kilometers now past the Breedon Valley, southbound, and yeah, still a little bit corrugation, but it has eased down a bit, which is really a relief, because from Luna down, I mean, you hear it now, it still is there, but we have far more soft patches now, which is great, because the corrugation is shocking. It's getting more sandy, so we're gonna check the pressure. What pressure were you at? 25. Okay. And did you go down further? 22 in the rear, 20 in the front. Gotta check mine now. I'm gonna have a bit more pressure because I'm a bit heavier. Let's see. I have 26 in the front. Yeah, I go a little bit lower, but that's not too bad. Let's see what we have in the rear. 24. Yeah, we just at the turnoff to well 47, but we decided to give that a miss and go straight the path less traveled, which is past Mount Romily. Yeah, certainly no one has driven that recently, as there are no fresh tire tracks in front of us. Don't go on the canning if you don't like pinstriping. Here, this kind of driving, you really gotta check for tire stakes. These burned wood, which you see to the left and right, is actually hard as and splinters very well. No tire tracks in front of us. It certainly was a path less traveled. It was very overgrown and rough with a lot of tire stakes. I was happy to have my mud-terrain BFG KM3 with a very thick thread profile and strong sidewalls. These here. can easily skate your tires. It's very hard.
This type of terrain went on for kilometers.
So definitely need to be watched out for that stuff here.
We stopped at Mount Romily because I saw a big shape sitting on the mountain. Dave walked up and it turned out to be an eagle. It's got to be the biggest eagle I have ever seen. The eagle is further away than Dave, and look how big that eagle is.
Someone lost his fuel tank here.
This is the second lot of camels we saw on the trip. They are a feral animal and create quite a bit of destructions around the waterholes, as we will see in a later part of the video. However, our early explorers relied on camels, and without camels the interior would have been discovered far, far later. Not directly related to the canning, but in 1936 Ted Colson was the first non-indigenous man to cross the Simpson Desert with camels. He was only accompanied by his friend Ringa Peter of the Antagorinya tribe. Dennis Battelle, the desert walker, recreated this crossing with Ted Colson's son and on camel in 1994. We also started to encounter the first dunes, which were great fun driving up there. As you can see on my suspension movement, people must have been stuck there at some stage because it had quite some reasonable holds.
Yeah, we just lost a track. That must have been fairly recently be all burnt, and there's no tire marks anymore, no nothing. So we're trying to go from Crescent Ridge to well 46. There is a track here, but that hasn't been used for a long while. I mean, the whole track wasn't good, but that here, not much left of it, so I think we follow on.
As closer we came to Mount Ford, as less defined the tracks became. In front of us you see Mount Ford. We also noticed that the blue sky changed and we had some cloud cover coming up.
Our track is completely gone. That's Mount Ford here.
Beside all the pinstriping, I'm still glad that we took that detour because it was really the first time that we felt remote on the canning, without any other UHF chatter and not seeing any other car.
Yeah, I think we are the first this year to go past Mount Ford and so on. It's quite amazing to see how nature sorts it out here, and it really shows that this country needs fire and lives off fire. So that was recently burned here, and look at the regrowth already.
In saying that, we also saw a lot of country which seems to have burned far too hot, and there was zero regrowth, and some beautiful stands of desert oak were completely decimated. It was beautiful to see the stand of ghost gums in between all the burned country.
The variety of landscape really is flabbergasting, I reckon. From complete desert, burnt desert where there is nothing, then you have mountaintops, I mean not very high, but still full rocky mountaintops up to 300-350 meters. Then you have, grass up to your roof. Then you have stands of desert oak. Then you have stands of eucalyptus. You have forests of, I don't know what plant that is, but some very hardy tree, which scratches the, out of your vehicle. Then you have kind of plains where it looks like you're in Africa. Absolutely amazing. The variation is just, super.
Then all of a sudden we reach a field of yellow wattle bushes, which looked absolutely amazing in the desert. At 5 p.m. we reached the intersection at well 45, which brought us back on the main canning track. So we drove around 7 hours and covered 37 kilometers in that time.
I just lost another antenna. Let's see whether I find that. Saw it falling in the bush here though. Here it is. Good. We had a crossroads here. We could have gone to Gravity Lakes and Pijalinga Clay Pan and Jimbaringa Native Well, but we take actually the alternative track. Apparently that is more challenging desert wise. So we're just looking now for a good swale to set up camp and call it a day. Very faint tracks. Well, that dune's certainly getting bigger. So yeah, crawling that up here. Always good if you crest unknown dunes, don't fly over the top. I mean, you shouldn't fly over them anyway, just for the fact sometimes there's a sharp turn left, right, and yeah, that could end a bit ugly. A bit of an angle, we had that a few times.
We found ourselves a nice swale and set up camp for the night. The weather looked very patchy and we had quite a few clouds coming up, and we're a little bit concerned if it starts raining. Today was also the first night on the trip where I decided to cook something and dig into my frozen food in the fridge. So what's for dinner tonight? Some couscous. It's a mix of everything. Some rice and some chili tuna. I don't know how that's going to turn out.
Turns out to be beautiful.
Pretty eventful day, yeah?
So what did the canning throw up today?
Shit.
At least there was no corrugations the way we went today. Well,
No.
not many anyway.
Yeah, we went the path less traveled. I think pretty much 90% of what we drove today has not been driven for a while. I dare to say this season.
And we were lucky not to get any tyre stakes through there.
Yeah.
With all that burnt acacia around.
Challenging country, not technical, super easy, but everywhere burnt stakes coming out of the ground. Yeah, certainly the big tires make a difference. I had a splinter sticking in my side grabbers, so I'm keen to see what the morrow brings. Morning, Dave. Bit stormy night, huh?
Yeah, a little.
Can't believe what it was, so quiet, no wind, and then I don't know what time that was. Storm came through and I don't even think it hit us the worst. I heard it howling left and right in the distance. And we're still on the track which goes parallel to well 44, which goes past, it's an old canning I believe. Some old fuel dump someone left here. This is one of the benchmark plaques we found along the trek. The dunes also started to become a bit more frequent, but really nothing challenging with the right tire pressure. Next we stopped at what was left of well 44, which really only were a few drums. The well was completely burnt out by the bushfires in 1976, and now there remains nothing really but a hole. Yeah, we decided to get off this old line and heading back further east to the canning, so we can still see the Banagu soak. And the pinstriking here, as you hear, is just horrible. So the other track is definitely more traveled, but we probably exchange pinstriping for corrugation. We shall see. We're back on the main track, and the corrugation, it is earth-shattering. I don't know how anything can survive that. Could be interesting to see how that dune goes. I should air down a bit more, at least I do.
As the dunes became higher, the sand got softer, especially without tracks, so nothing was compacted. We adjusted our tire pressure again and aired down further to around 18 psi. Dave noticed that his second battery wasn't charging, so he couldn't really run his fridge, so he did a bit of troubleshooting in the morning. I, in the meantime, went for a little bit of a walk to see whether I could find the soak, however without avail. When I returned, it seemed like Dave had found the problem.
All fixed?
Yes, I found the problem.
Beautiful.
Just literally one wire had fallen off the switch to the solenoid.
Oh, cool. Whoop. And there you see where the big profile makes a difference.
We lost the track for a little while, so drove via GPS to find back onto the Canning. We removed our sand flags the day before due to the bushy country and Dave losing the top of his flag a few times. However, being back on the main track now and among the dunes, we fixed our sand flags again.
Interesting little ridge here. This is well 43 below Waggy, which used to be a native well, but Canning then dug out and made that a fairly good well, which was in use. Not much left though, except depression in the ground here. I don't know whether you can see the dips, but that's where people get stuck. But really, sign of wrong tire pressure, because as you can see, you can really crawl that here with the right throttle and the correct pressure.
Gully Well is a natural spring on the southwest corner of Gully Lake with a sandstone bed. Canning dug that further out, but it is now completely silted up, so not really usable.
And Schoolie Lake. It's amazing. If you would look at a map of the interior of Australia and you're overseas and you plan a trip and you see all these lakes and rivers, you would think that is the greenest continent on earth, and you think you have no water problems. In reality, nearly all of that lakes have water once in a blue moon, and so do the rivers, so very deceiving. Breakfast in the Canning. I think today I'm gonna have expedition radix, apple cinnamon breakfast. We'll see how that goes.
The little tip is, once you tear it off here, start from both ends and then actually you continue on, and that way it tears off straight, otherwise it's not even on one side. It looks a bit, I won't say, but it tastes beautiful.
In the next episode, I show you how we shower in the desert, we visit some desert graves, see more camels and explore a few more of the wells. We also see our first eastern brown in the desert. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. As always, I would greatly appreciate if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video and leave me a comment in the comment section. My YouTube channel is completely self-funded and it takes considerable effort, time and money to create these videos. If you'd like to support me in this, please consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon, where you can donate a small monthly contribution which will help me to cover some of the cost. For these you will receive early access to all of my videos.